Well, hello, it's Wednesday, so it must be time for Woolly Hat's Wednesday Whips. And you join us here on the first day of June, and I'm wearing a jumper because the weather doesn't know what it's doing, and therefore I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, we'll see. So the sun's out at the moment, which is quite nice. So what have I been up to this week? Well, had a very busy weekend last weekend. We did lots of socialising, but I did have time to do some knitting, and you'll be pleased to see that I have nearly finished my aran sock with my really, really challenging pattern there. There we are. So I've done the main leg and I've done the heel, and I'm now on the foot. So I've not long to go for the reducing for the toe, and then I'll finish that, and then I'll be able to wear them. So that'll be good. I can't wait to wear them actually, because it's got cashmere in as well as merino. So a really nice yarn, and as I think I've said before, it was from Queen Fibres, who I think I bought it at a Yarndale a few years ago. So that's nice. So of course, when I finish that, I'll have to think, what do I do next? I have actually got 2 pairs that I've nearly finished the second of, or do I start a new one? We'll see. Anyway, so there we go. So that's good news. Nearly finished that. What else have I been doing? Well, I've progressed with my Iona jumper. Here it is. I'm now doing the front. So you can see it's got a lovely textured, whoops. Perhaps I need longer needles. I'm taking this stitch up. We'll try again, shall we? So there we are. So it's a lovely aran-y, cable-y pattern. So it's not a difficult pattern, and it's only for part of the thing. So it's quite an easy one to knit. So I can still do it while watching the telly, sort of. So that would be good. So I'm doing that, and then when I finish that, because this is the Iona wool, single source wool from Iona, where all the farmers pull their wool to make this yarn. So it's a mixture of yarns. So it's an interesting one, and I just love the colour. But there we go. So that's that one. And of course, when I've knitted the Iona wool in the Iona pattern, I'll have to go to Iona, won't I? One of my favourite places. I don't know whether you've seen Mull on Springwatch. It's near there, so it would be nice to go back at some point. Perhaps not when the midges are out, but there we go. So what else have we done? Well, my friend asked me if I'd got any patterns that she could use to knit somebody a jumper for their 60th birthday next year. So I had a good route around my patterns, and I came across this. And it's an old pattern book. I think it was my mother's, and she gave it to me. And it must be very 80s, because that looks very 80s, doesn't it? And I looked through and I thought there's some fantastic things in here. And I mean, how 80s is that? I mean, that's Princess Diana, isn't it? There we go. So I was quite interested in that. So some of them are quite nice patterns. I mean, the sort of not Icelandic is really quite nice there. Then there's one with a cowl neck there. So and then there's a textured one there. So I thought, well, that's quite interesting. But then obviously this is quite old, 80, and it's Robin, and they don't make the yarn anymore. So if any of you have got old patterns and you're worried about getting the yarn, don't worry, because if you go onto a website called Yarn Sub and put in the name of the yarn, it will come up with that yarn, or it should do. It goes back quite a long way, and it will tell you the characteristics of it. So it will tell you whether it's aran or double knit or whatever, and also what it's made of, but also and the length of the ball of wool, because it's quite important when you're choosing wool to go by the length rather than weight, because wool and yarn weighs differently depending on what it's made of. So you can go on that, and then it will suggest yarn that you can choose, and so you can filter by cost, by where you can buy it and that kind of thing. So that's a really useful site for old pattern books like this. The other way to look at the is to look at the pattern and see what needles it suggests you use. So this is suggesting 5.5 and 4.5. So that suggests to me that this is like an aran yarn. So trip down memory lane. I can't remember my mother knitting any of these. I think she might have knitted my sister or something from it. I'd fled the nest by the 80s, and I was knitting my own stuff with a vengeance, lots of mohair. Ooh, and I can't remember her doing that for me. But anyway, that was an interesting find. So you never know what you might find on your bookshelves and drawers, some interesting patterns. And also the charity shops have quite a lot as well. So have a little rummage around. You never know what you might find, because you know what they say, what comes around goes around comes around, and these things come back in fashion. So I think that's all for me today. I will be busy this weekend. We're going down south, so I'm going to have to decide what projects to take with me, because potentially there's a trip to the beach, so you don't want a huge project to take. So my big tartan blanket might be a bit of a problem. So I might have to start another sock or something like that. So that would be nice to do. And we're meeting up with family and friends down there, so that'll be nice. So hopefully the traffic won't be too bad. I hope you're going to have a lovely Jubilee weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.